We got another special guest on the Inside Ball podcast. We had Tommy Flegler on last week. This week, Jharal Yow Yeh. Welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kevie. I listened to Flegs as well.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
Good insight about where he's going, and I think like everyone, a bit worried about where his career was going, and I ran into him a few times and just
had a chat with him, have you?
Had a chat with him, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mate,
he seems in good spirits, which is really nice.
Yeah, he's going through a bit of a tough time too, not playing, but you know all about that. So I'm going to go right back, mate. Right back to your childhood.
Yep.
And then through your career, and then we'll see what you're up to. I know you're doing some coaching at the moment.
Oh, trying to, Kevie. You know what it's like.
It's a fun job.
It is,
mate.
It is. I do like.
The rewards are so, particularly whatever level you're coaching at.
Yeah.
The rewards are there, mate, and your love for the game is clearly.
No,
you're very passionate about the game.
Around, yeah. Yep.
Righto. So, hang on. What's that hat? Who's got?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know, but it's got your name on it. Actually,
Yes,
this is the Walters project. You've actually been a labourer for a day at this workforce. This is your boys' company, the Walters project.
Yes.
They're doing a really good job. Well, obviously, Bill hasn't done a lot yet.
No.
Because obviously he's playing professional rugby league, but Jack...
Yeah, that's a good little plug for Jack. So
he's doing all the heavy lifting. So, Jackie boy, I was going to wear this for you, mate. So, all the best in your journey in the Walters project.
There we go. Right. 60 games for the Broncos. Scored 33 tries. You're a try. I was looking back some of your tries yesterday. How fast were you, Jharal? 3 Origins, 2 tries in Origin. We'll get to that later. And 3 matches for Australia in 2011. The Anzac Test, and then you also scored 3 tries for Australia, right? So you could score a try. Did you always score tries as a kid?
No, not really.
What's the most you've scored in a game?
Oh, no, I actually never. I actually spoke to Jack Reed about this the other day. I've never scored a hat trick in a game, so I scored a lot of doubles.
What, even through your?
No, not even through my juniors. When I was coming through, Kevie, I was all about defence. Like I loved tackling people. I liked not hurting people. I don't think that's probably the right way to put it, but. I just enjoyed the contact. So that was probably one of my favourite aspects of playing footy when I was younger. And I used to wear a headgear like JT. I used to have blonde curls that used to come through my headgear. So kids would think that they could run at me because I was a bit smaller, and then I'd just give it to them.
Because you've always been quite big, haven't you? Like even as a kid, were you big?
No, I wasn't. I wouldn't say that I'd filled out. Like I've been in a good paddock, all right, for the last couple of years.
But what was your playing weight?
But I was tall when I was younger, so I grew up pretty tall. But when I played first grade, I finished at 106 kilos.
Right, so that's a big winger.
As a winger, yeah, it's pretty big.
Big
well,
winger.
You were around, like, what was Oatsy? Oatsy would have been around
105,
yeah,
105,
106.
Lottie and Wendell, big wingers.
Big wingers as well. I think they were high 90s.
Wendell was 100, he'll tell you. 100 out of 100,
Yeah, he also lies a lot.
Lottie's the same. Right, but you grew up in Emu. You're born in Emu Park.
Well, I'm born in Emu Park, grew up, I will never take it away from the Hills District. So I grew up in Capera around Aranda Hills.
Right.
So I claim that I grew up in the Hills District because my family grew up in Rocky, and we moved down here when I was super young, so I don't even remember. So I will claim the Hills District, mate. I'll always claim the Hills District.
Your mum, Rhonda Yow Yeh?
Yep.
And is it true you've never met your dad?
Never met my father, no. And pretty content with that. I mean, it was a long time ago. I think me and my mum were talking about this even when I was really young, but she was everything for me, so I didn't really need anything else. Also, my grandparents were a huge part.
Is that Lomas and Iris?
Lomas and Iris, yep. Iris is not with us anymore, unfortunately. My grandmother, who used to come to every game, and Pop used to come to every game. They flew everywhere. They sat in certain seats behind the dugout at the Broncos. So
right.
they played a big part, not only from my professional career, but growing up, they drove me. My pop drove me everywhere, and just gave me the opportunity to sort of be the best version of myself when I was playing footy. Yeah.
See, that's the thing with rugby league, and my family was the same. Your mum and dad or someone in your family has to get you to the games.
Yeah, and I suppose being in my role, and we'll probably go into that a little bit later, but being in my role back at the Broncos now in game development, you see so many volunteers that give back to the game, people who put in work, behind the scenes that clubs you wouldn't really think, but junior rugby league clubs are run by volunteers.
Volunteers. That's how they work.
And family members, like anybody that plays a game of rugby league, we'd be nowhere without volunteers. So we thank them so much for doing what they do.
Righto, Ferny Groves High.
Yep.
How were you at school? What sort of a student were you, mate?
I actually I was having a conversation with a fella yesterday about this, and I do a little bit of work with some Indigenous youth as well. So I was.
Were you a kid down the back and troublemaker?
No,
or
I
were
wasn't a troublemaker. I just
you
couldn't
skipped
sit
school
still.
and all
I
that?
couldn't. No way. I was scared of my mum. No way. There's no way I would ever wag school, Kevie. I was a good kid in sense of having I never got in trouble, but my attention span, I couldn't sit still. I'm struggling to sit still in this room.
Right.
So I've probably got ADD that I have not been diagnosed before.
There's no need to go and do that done, mate, because you're a great fella and you've got this far.
Yeah. I still, I was a great student at school. I still talk to some of my teachers. I still go catch up with some of my teachers at high school. So I've got a good relationship with them. So wasn't the smartest kid, but I passed my classes.
Right. So what's your memories like playing footy at North or were you West?
I actually started playing soccer first. So
Right.
not a lot of people know this. I'm a huge soccer fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. I have been since I was 9 or 10 years old. My mum was and my auntie were Matildas before they were called the Matildas, so they would go play soccer for Australia.
Right.
My mum was a sweeper, so which in soccer terms is a defender.
Yeah.
And my auntie was a striker. So
Yeah, right.
mum also played footy for Queensland as well. So that's probably where I get my aggression from is my mother.
Yeah.
But I actually started playing.
Was your mother, she's obviously, and your auntie's that very athletic as well?
Yeah, very athletic. Mum was just more aggressive. Just more aggressive than anything.
Yeah.
So that made her scary, I suppose, on the footy field and as a sweeper as well. It was scary. But yeah, that's sort of where I get most of my, I suppose, my talent from. But obviously, I've got a great uncle who's played in the game as well, Uncle Kevin.
Yeah.
And I started at a runner.
He played for Balmain
and
Tigers.
Redcliffe. And
He was a winger too,
yeah,
wasn't
him
he?
and Artie were really close.
Right.
Really close.
Did you ever get to meet Arthur Beetson?
I did, mate. I met Arthur a handful of times, and he actually told me some stories about my uncle.
Right.
Which was
Good
really,
stories?
Yeah, good story.
Is there any you can share with us?
No. Most of them are bad. Could you imagine them two, being together and back in the day and having a beer?
I was fortunate. I got coached by Artie for Queensland.
Yeah, that's awesome.
State of origin, and I actually did some work at. He used to have a pub in.
Yeah, actually, I did.
The one in the valley.
You go all the time. The Beat, it might have been called.
No, what's it called? Anyway, we'll move on.
Okay.
Playing footy at North, all right, and then you finish school and you get a contract with Parramatta.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't go
there. How did that work?
I actually don't know. And like my late great grandmother, Irish Yow Yeh, God love her, she was a huge Parramatta supporter. So a Parramatta fan. So when this sort of
who spotted you from Parramatta?
Rod Reddy. So I played how I got spotted was I played in a Colts grand final at Suncorp Stadium against Tweed. David Mead played on the other side. Actually, we lost that grand final.
Right. So this was for North.
Yes, it's for North. So it would have been Colts. So Colts is like under 20s, I think. Then under 20s. So we had a really cool footy side. Probably no other footy players that were in that side went on, I'd say, but
it was a good team for that age.
It was a great team for that age. Like we played some really expansive footy. Mick Wally was our coach at the time, and it was enjoyable. But yeah, Rod, that's when I think Rocket found me, and I went down there for a scholarship.
Right. And do you live with a family or?
Yeah, I got billeted out, which I don't know how I felt about it.
Yeah, that would have been tough for you, mate.
I think
away from your family.
Yeah,
because you got brothers and sisters.
I've got a little brother, one little brother, but I've got a huge extended family. Like I've got cousins everywhere. Like you could imagine Indigenous. Like it's just an Indigenous.
Well, that would have been tough.
Yeah, it is. And I was
moving away.
I was a little sook. Like I was a mummy's boy. I loved my grandparents, so it was even hard to make that decision to go and get billeted out, Kevie. So, but I thought to myself, look, if this is, it wasn't just all about me, I suppose. I thought about, I was like, well, what am I going to do if my grandparents did all this for me, my mum do all this for me? Why would I just give up and not give it a go? Not just on my behalf, but on for them. So, yeah, I took the leap and I suppose I probably didn't fit into the Sydney lifestyle.
No, you wouldn't have, mate. Gee, that would have been so hard for
you. I got billed out.
And
I got billed out by a really nice family though. They were lovely, but at the end of the day, I think Daniel Mortar was coming through with me at the time, and Albert Kelly as well.
Right.
They were in
Big
the
Albie.
same. Yeah, Big Albie. They were in the same.
Albie was at the Sharks, wasn't he?
No, well, he was at Parramatta
Parramatta,
first.
was he?
He was at Parramatta
that's
first.
right.
And then he went to the Sharks. So, yeah, he was honestly, Albie was like he was the bee's knees.
But Rocket ended that for you anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he came along and just said.
What they say, you thought you couldn't play?
I was a bit too small, as in, I wasn't filling out yet, and it was taking me a little bit to fill out. And there was kids down there who were huge. Jared Hayne was coming through, and he was 2 years older than me, and he was
massive.
Chris Inu was my age, and he was they were huge.
They were all filled out. You hadn't touched a weight.
No, I hadn't touched a weight, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because when I went honestly onto the Broncos, Dan Baker got a hold of me and just
he turned you into
me. Yeah, I just squatted.
You're a beast.
When
you finished. I was in France coaching when you made your debut for the Broncos, and well, mate, some of those tries I watched them yesterday. Anyway, more about that later. Right, growing up, who was your hero, your idol? Who did you?
Oh, well, I looked up to obviously my immediate family, like my mum and my grandparents. But if there was a player that I looked up to, I think this is pretty well on the record. But Preston Campbell was
Presto.
the guy. Yeah, I didn't. It's
Presto.
Yeah, I liked Presto because he played above his weight, and he never. I suppose. Well, there's no blokes in the game right now that are like Preston Campbell's size that could do what Preston did. So. And people forget, but he went on and won a Dally M. He went on and won a grand final with Penrith.
Yeah.
And then
2002,
ruined his career and went to the Titans. So
they didn't ruin it, mate. They made finals and stuff. But
no, I'm joking.
He was a great player.
That's just a little stab at our little brother down the road.
Yeah, righto, mate. Do you think he might have wanted to play at the Broncos?
Who? Presto? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Well, he was playing fullback at the time, wasn't he, really? And then he moved into the halves. So,
yeah. I
mean, I think we were pretty well off
but
in the halves when we were coming through, yeah.
So you ended up at the Broncos playing in the 20s. How did that happen?
Yeah,
Your manager?
Yeah, yep, Cole Davis.
Collie Davis, the great Collie Davis.
So how I met Cole is family ties from Rockhampton because he's from Rockhampton himself. So he's got really close ties with my family. And I was coming through an era where managers were really hard to trust.
Yeah.
So young kids anyway. So I didn't get a manager till I was probably even when I went to Para, I really didn't have a manager. Cole was helping, but he wasn't my manager. So I sort of picked him up after Parramatta and then went on my way. But Pete Nolan
helped you as well, eh?
He was the one that picked me up and said that. I don't know how much he helped me. I always take the piss out of Nugget because he gave me a train and trial, so no money to come to the club.
My theories, my research tells me you got paid $1,000
correct
to play in the Colts.
Yeah, so when you've got kids
the national Colts competition.
Yeah, so you got kids like Andrew McCulloch, Ben Hunt getting paid a motza. I won't disclose that.
Well, Honey's still getting paid a motza, and Macca's still bleeding.
I don't know if he's getting paid any more a motza than Kevie, but
so $1,000.
It was a train and trial, and then he said I had to train hard before Christmas. And
so your coach is
Anthony Griffin,
right?
Yeah, Hook. I loved him. A lot of people didn't like Hook, but I think I was a kid who needed a bit of tough love, and I didn't have a father figure. So Hook was always the one to tell me how it was if I played shit. If I played bad, he told me. If I played good, he told me. So I didn't like the wishy-washy stuff. I just wanted to be told, what was on, how it was. So, and that got the best out of me anyway. Yeah.
So you had a year in Colts with all those boys. They're all in your gang. Macca, Hundy, Moose,
Hoffy.
You just made the grand final,
Alex
didn't
Glenn, you? Jared Beale. I could go on. I think about in that year, I think 17 or 12 of those boys went on to play in the first grade the next year.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty good squad, and we went to the grand final and we lost another one.
To Raiders.
Lost again to the Raiders. They cheated. They were offside.
Yeah. Oh, come on, mate. Come on. It's disappointing to lose grand finals. How bad is it?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
you would know.
I know. Let's not go there, Jharal. All right. Righto. So under 20, you scored 27 tries.
Yeah. It's a good year.
In 26 games, mate.
Yeah, it was a good year for me.
Were you a centre or winger? Where were you?
Yeah, I was a winger. I don't think I would have scored that many if I was playing centre, but I had a really good
relationship. Who was feeding you? Hundy, was he?
Well, yeah, I had a good relationship with this little kid from Dingo, and we went on we created havoc.
So did you know Hundy before that?
No.
Never met each other.
Never met each other. And it's funny because he's from, obviously, Dingo, and he grew up in Yeppoon, and my family's not far from there.
Emu Park's not far from there.
Yeah, and he went to St. Brendan's. We never crossed paths, but from that day on when I met him, when he come back from, because they were on the Australian squad for schoolboys, they came back a little bit after Christmas, but I met him and we just hit it off, and from that day on it was over.
He's a great fella to play with. Is he the last surviving member of your 20s team? That's playing, still playing.
Well, that's playing. Yeah, well, Andrew McCulloch still works at the club in the academy.
Okay, yeah.
So good luck to all those kids going to come through. No, but yeah, Doze is the last one, and rightly so. And geez, it'd be nice for a send off for him to give him a premiership, wouldn't it? I mean, he deserves. I think he deserves, not just because he's a friend of mine, but I think he's.
Yeah.
He works really hard. He works really hard. Yeah. Hunty, yeah. So. Yeah, let's hope. Hopefully, he goes out a winner.
Yeah, I do too, mate. I'll second you there. Righto. So you get through the grand final, then the Broncos take you on.
Yeah.
Was it a big contract you signed? Or was it?
No way.
Can you remember how much it was?
My first contract? Yeah, well, minimum
1,000
wage.
was your first?
Yeah, 1,000 was my first, but minimum wage in the NRL squad was 50. So
right, so, and you would have thought
I signed a 3-year deal. That was, and I don't mind saying this now. I don't actually think I never talked about money. I don't think I've ever spoke about this, but I think I went 50. So this is Nugget getting me a beauty again. I went 50, 70, 90. So that was my first 3 years of the club.
But that was, you would have thought that, well, that's not, if I can play rugby league and get paid.
Mate, I was, yeah. I didn't, and to be honest, back in 2009, 50,000 was probably the average wage for a, or maybe it is now.
It's about 80 now, 85.
Well, there you go. So 50 probably was about the average wage, so it didn't bother me. I could pay for a beer on the weekend. I didn't, it didn't bother me. And I lived with my grandparents at the time.
Right. And how did you get to training? Because you didn't have a license.
Oh, how did you know this?
This is my wife's research here. Why did you not have a license?
Yeah, I didn't get a license till I was 20. Yeah.
But why do you...
Well, if I'm going to be honest, my mum didn't have one. My mum didn't have a license. The only person that did was my grandfather, and he worked so much. So I didn't have anyone to help me
get the hours up, 100 hours.
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't have to have hours then. You just could go for it. But I just never had anyone who could teach me how to
Did you have a car in the house? I'm not being rude.
Yeah, we did. My pop did, but that's what I mean. He drove to work all the time.
So he used to drive you to training?
Yeah, he drove me to training.
Oh, how good's that, eh?
Yeah, so, and he even drove me to training when I was playing first grade.
He drove you to the games too,
He drove me to the games. He used to park underneath, and I used to give him the
no wonder you got him the best tickets in the house. He's looking after you, mate.
It's been a journey, Kevie. It's been a journey, and then you get your license, and then all these people start throwing sponsorship cars at you, and it's a little bit weird, but pretty funny.
Righto.
But Hoffy used to live around the corner from me as well.
Right.
So he would drive me to training as well. So which was good.
All right. So round one, Cowboys.
Yeah.
You're on Dobbo.
Yeah. How
did you feel, mate?
Shitting myself. Scared, very scared. I think when people ask me this, I think the reason why I was scared and nervous, I don't think I was scared about the game. I think I was scared about letting people down. I think that's, now that I've had time to reflect on, how... Because when you're a kid, you don't even think about that type of stuff. You're just scared. You don't know why you're scared. But now that I've reflected on it, I know I was nervous and scared because I didn't want to let my family down, and my teammates. I think, my halfback was Darren Lockyer. I don't want to let people like that down,
Yeah, Lockyer was
Hodjo was my...
Hodjo.
Centre, Sammy was my back rower. So
you played centre on Dobbo, yeah?
No, I played on the wing.
But you did play some centre for the Broncos.
Yeah, a little bit, but I wasn't that great at it because I didn't do enough practicing there because Hodge was always, his hammies just never held up all right. So he would be injured all the time. He'd get injured the day of the game if he walking to get a coffee. So yeah, I was always just getting thrown in the deep end to play centre. So. But I'm glad I stayed on the wing. That was my position.
And your debut was against the Cowboys. Do you remember a lot about the game?
Oh, mate. Well, yeah.
Because I can
Carmichael
tell you.
Hunt was my fullback.
Yep.
Antonio Winterstein and me debuted on each wing.
Yep.
It was a sellout. I think 53,000 or something. It was a sellout. Friday night footy. And Peter Wallace kicks a field goal for us to win it. And
do you remember scoring your first try?
I do,
scored on Dobbo.
It was a cutout boy by Kay, which was, if you watch the footage, I remember.
I watched it this morning, mate.
Yeah, if you watch the footage, I was ready for him to grab a through. It was.
Oh yeah,
at training
you were a bit in front.
Yeah, I was a tiny bit in front. I had to reach behind me, but I'll never forget. I don't think I'll ever forget my debuts for any of my footy and my first try. I'll never ever forget it because one, I really had a bad haircut as well that night. So my boys got me a beauty. One of my mates got me a beauty, and I mean to get a cutout ball by the great Carmichael Hunt and score in the corner.
What do you think about the haircuts now on the boys? You like them or?
Oh, it doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother you?
Nah,
You're all for it? They get a trim every week, you know.
Yeah, I know. They can express themselves as much as they want, as long as they turn up and play good footy.
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right, so you had a great year in 2009, played finals with the Broncos. I think, yeah.
Yep, we did. Yeah. Well, I missed a lot of footy in the middle of the year. I got dropped. I don't know why. I actually think I know why now. I think there was I think salary cap, like back in the day, you couldn't go, if you were getting paid matches, you couldn't go over it.
Yeah, so they had to pull you back a bit.
But I didn't know that. I thought I was just getting dropped because I was getting dropped. But then when I got a bit older, I found that out. So I was like, oh, okay, so it wasn't because I was playing crap. It was just because I couldn't play over a certain amount of games.
Yeah, righto.
Which made me feel a lot better about myself.
Righto. Beautiful, mate. Now then, so you finished the great year, debut year for you at the Bronx. Life's going great. And then 2010, Indigenous All you're playing the Indigenous All Star. I mean, I've only heard great things about that match, and I've never been involved in it in any way. But surely that's a wonderful experience for you and your family and your culture.
Well,
you know?
it was an unknown when we first, because that was the inaugural year.
First one, yeah.
And I didn't think I was ever going to play. I was only 19, so I didn't think I was going to play in that game. But when I got called in, I was like, because I was along the side. Like the person who won the winger spot over me was Wendell. He was in number 5.
Right.
And I was in the 19 jersey because I was just a young kid. So I got an opportunity to come into the game and play. But like, I think that in itself, playing alongside like your Jonathan Thurston's, your Wendell Sailors, I got to play with Preston Campbell in that game,
cool, mate.
Which was very cool. Greg Inglis. So like, it was a very cool moment, but it was also culturally, it was very different because I didn't know a lot about my Aboriginal side of my family because I've got South Sea, which is Vanuatu, and my Aboriginal side. So I didn't know a lot about it. So for information, it was an amazing week. And to give back to the community, it was an amazing week. You sort of forget when you go in those camps that you got to play a footy game because you're so immersed in giving back to the community.
I imagine it'd be quite an emotional week.
Yeah,
as well,
it is. And because you see kids, we get kids that come from out of missions, you know, that from out in the country that have never been to a footy game before and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a pretty touching week, and I'm sure that's what it's like for the Māoris right now. That they get that same, and I hope we get to take a game there to New Zealand because it would be incredible for their culture.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful for the cultures to just bring everyone. And for me, the big thing is you guys getting an opportunity to reconnect or find out a little bit about your past. A lot of these boys come in and they don't know about their past and the
stolen generation. See, that's why a lot of people didn't know about it. But it's a really funny you asked that, Kevie, because the first day we got into camp, they drew this line, right? And they put, if you know everything about your culture, a little bit and nothing. And they said to the boys, all right, stand on where you think you know. But you should have seen how many boys didn't even move off the spot, which was pretty incredible. Jonathan Thurston was one of them. And as a young kid, I always looked up to him because he was an Indigenous player, right?
Yeah.
I just thought he knew everything about his culture, but he knew nothing. But those type of camps have given us a lot to be able to reconnect with our families and stuff like that. So that's why they're such enjoyable weeks for our people. Mate. Yeah, for our people.
Yeah, they need to keep those games going for sure. It's a great concept, and for you guys to connect with your culture, I think it's amazing.
I think the only thing scary is, and you're probably in this boat, mate, is as for a coach, because it's such an intense game.
Oh, it is.
Start of the year.
Start of the year.
And you guys got to speak about it on this
podcast,
on your first one. I've been tuning in every week too, by the way.
That's good, mate.
But like I said,
have you subscribed though?
I subscribed. Yeah, yeah.
That's good, mate.
Of course I have. We don't have to pay money yet to do that, right?
No, mate. You will never pay, Jharal. You will never pay, mate. All right, guaranteed.
No, but it's such an intense game that I could imagine for coaches it would be very scary to let your players go.
I remember that Wayne coached the All Stars.
Yeah, and it was the first year. It was I
remember speaking to him about it, how intense that initial game for that time of the year, both teams used to just fire up and just go at each other.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I did my meniscus in that first game.
Right.
Yeah. So
how was it, Big Dell in camp? Was it good?
Well, he's good because he talks to you, but you don't get a word in. So, he's awesome, mate. Like, he's had so much experience in his time playing footy and dual internationals, which he'll tell you.
He's a dual.
But honestly, to be able to connect with someone like that who I aspire to be like the number 5 at the Broncos. I'll never knock back those moments. He was definitely when I came to the Broncos. You sort of look at wingers and you go, who do I want to be like?
And Wendell was the man.
Wendell was the man. Yeah,
I was fortunate to play with Wendell, and a lot like you, big, strong, athletic, try scorer. He probably runs his mouth a bit more than what you do, but that's not a bad thing on Wendell's world.
He's got to back it up though.
But
he does.
But you backed it up, mate. That's one thing you did do was back it up, and so did Wendell, to his credit. So two great Broncos wingers. We'd love to have them running around for the Broncos today.
Nice,
You know, that's brilliant, mate. 2010, playing at the Bronx, you get through that Indigenous All Stars game. Good season again. And then 2011, you make your Origin debut.
Yeah.
21 years of age or 20?
Yeah, 21. Or I think I might have been 20 actually because I turned 21.
Did you love watching Origin as a kid growing up?
Yeah, well, I never watched. I didn't watch a lot of footy, but I knew that was the game I always watched. Yeah, like I didn't.
Had you been to one live?
No.
Never.
No, never. So that was my. That's funny.
Wow.
Hey, I'd never been to an Origin, and my first ever Origin I played in. So pretty cool
Mate,
moment.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, pretty cool moment. And I had a lot of. It sounds weird to say this, but my family didn't
Tickets.
Didn't like Queensland.
What?
Do you want to know the reason why?
I do want to know why. And I'm going to have words to these after the show, mate.
Honestly, I grew up around, and I never cracked, but I grew up around a lot of my family going for New South Wales because my mum was a Manly supporter, my grandmother was a Parramatta supporter, so all their favourite players
We're all from New South Wales.
all from New South Wales. But I never cracked. My favourite player was Preston, but I never cracked. I knew that being a Queenslander was a really important thing. So I was pretty much one of the me and my little brother were probably the only ones in our families that followed Queensland. So
even on game day?
No. So I had a word to them and I said, "You're not coming to the game unless you wear Queensland gear."
They said yes,
and they did. My mum. Now my mum's a mad Queenslander,
did
and
you
so
have a
was
lot
my
of
grandfather.
family members on your debut there that night?
Yeah, I did have. Well, look. As having an Aboriginal family, you can't have them all.
No.
So I had to pick and choose, unfortunately, and I did get to invite some of my best mates as well to the game, and they appreciate that. So, yeah, pretty cool moment when you get to.
What about coming into camp? What about coming into camp and all the kit? And where was your camp?
Mate. Well, you know what? Having all the kit was never really an issue for me because being at the Broncos, you know what it's like. You get it. Like, remember when you walk in and Mid-Oak had that room of Nike gear? Like, I know we're not sponsored by them now, but like, I couldn't believe when I walked into that room.
Yeah, that's true.
They just go, "Here, take all this." So that wasn't a thing that was like wow to me. It was more like I'm walking around with. I'm rooming with Billy Slater in my debut. Like,
yeah,
I just, yeah.
Did he talk much to you?
Well, when I first walked in, I'm just such an idiot, but when I first walked in, because I was an 18th man in my first camp in 2010,
right.
I walked in and introduced myself to Billy Slater, and he's like, "Yeah, I know who you are."
Yeah, I know
I go,
you
"Hi,
are.
I'm Jharal," and he goes, "Yeah, I know, mate."
Yeah,
so
it's okay. Just
I think
relax.
you're just nervous, you know what I mean? Like, I got really nervous being around people like that.
Yeah, well, mate, that era for Queensland, like, how good were you guys?
Yeah, like, I was part of the 6. I was part of the 5 when they won the 5, but I was only in 18th man for that game.
Right. Well, that's still in, mate. You're in. Once you're in, you're in, bro.
Oh, don't worry. I got. I enjoyed the bonding session, so I know that I was in. But like, I was a part of that. But 5 and 6. So there's only. I mean, how many players would have played? Like probably like 50 in that era of that 8 in a row.
No,
not even that.
No, Jharal.
So like,
I reckon about 20 or 25 blokes.
Well, yeah, I feel privileged. Like I'm honoured and I'm humbled to be able to be a part of that. Like it's, yeah, I've got a. I remember I've got a framed jersey at home with everyone that's played in it, and yeah, I'll just never forget being. That's like. Yeah, once in a lifetime stuff. Because I don't know if it'll ever happen again.
Lockie, Thurston, Smith,
Inglis, Hodges, Thaiday, yeah. I mean, the list goes on.
Did you play with Petro?
Yeah, played with Petro. I feel like I'm old now, like saying that because,
great
like
Queensland teams.
Pet.
Mal was the coach.
Mal was the coach. Mal was, man, he was awesome. Like he made me feel so relaxed.
Yeah, that smell.
And I
That's
think
how he
that's
coaches, mate.
the easiest thing, because you can feel, I suppose you could go into those camps and feel very overwhelmed, but I just felt like family immediately when I went in there, so that wasn't an issue. And I got to thank Jharal Yow for
Is he? He's in there too, eh? Yeah.
Well, yeah, for going to AFL, because that's how I got my
Oh.
opportunity. That's how I got my opportunity, because if he doesn't, like...
Oh, you were going to play for Queensland,
But
mate.
Darius
Is he
Boyd
or
and
no,
him
is
were
he?
the wingers. So, like, I needed... And I was going to say, Hodjo needed to get injured or something again, and we would have, because he always does.
Yeah, but you would have broke through, mate. So
yeah, I was just...
you were that talented, mate. Don't
I was just
underestimate
blessed
yourself.
that he left and went to AFL. So, yeah.
And is there a little story you can share with us about maybe something that happened on field? Because I know you scored a try on Dobbo as well. But off field, was there a favourite moment through the Origin stuff that you can share with us?
Oh, I mean, the bonding sessions are the best.
Yeah.
Like,
Alfie's nights and all
you
that
can't
sort of
talk
stuff.
about them too much, but the first night I remember being in camp. You know what it's like, Kevie. If you're a debutant, because me and Dane Nielsen,
you're under pressure. Stay put.
Me and Dane Nielsen were debutants at the same time, so I wasn't by myself. And Jesus Christ, he
Dane, I coached Dane at the Melbourne Storm.
yeah, he's a funny kid.
He's a good kid, mate.
Yeah.
Lovely kid.
Dane's just the best, and he's the best. But I think it was the Fox Hotel. It got shut down for us, and
Right, had a good night.
it's so weird how just. Like how much of a superstar you become when you play Origin, right?
Yeah.
Like
you got your name on the back of the jersey.
I just never thought that would happen. And even like some of the biggest moments, police escort from the hotel to stadium.
Yep, loved
I
it.
just wasn't even ready for that. They stopped the traffic, and I was just like, "What the? Who are we?"
Your
Like,
grandparents obviously
Yep,
at the game.
my grandparents were at the game, and a very cool moment for the Yow Yeh family. Like it was a very, very cool moment. So I'll never forget playing for my people for my state. Yeah.
So you bang home and you're scoring tries. You think you scored 2.
Well, I scored 2 in my series. Yeah, in the series. So and got to take.
Do you remember those tries?
Yeah, I do remember those tries.
Talk to me about you, because I love hearing try score. I never scored many tries.
Yeah, well,
and I got so much respect for you guys that just used to score them at will, like easy. Like you'd run 100. I watched the try that you scored against the Cowboys first, and tried to put a kick downfield, and you've swooped on it.
Yeah, but he did that on purpose for me. He knew what he was doing. He was trying to put me on the map so I could play Origin.
Well, you're already on the map, mate. And the speed that you showed. Do you remember the try?
Yeah,
I watched it this
I remember
morning.
that one.
And
it's one of my favourites.
So he's kicked it from about halfway, and you've caught it sort of on the bounce.
Yeah, Michael Barney, Willie Tonga were the centres and wingers.
Past
them all, right, and thirsted because he kicked it. He's come across and tried to, and you turned him inside out. He didn't know where you went.
Well, I've probably taken the piss a bit there, because I probably could have beat him to the corner. But I thought to myself, I don't want to get tackled out at Dairy
that was up there, wasn't
That was
it?
Dairy Farmers too. All I could think about is mad cow, mad cow, mad cow. Like, if I score this, we're going to have a good night at the mad cow.
We spoke about the mad cow and the jeans and the shirt in the bag, and always a good night in Townsville. Yeah,
Justin's,
Mate, so, some fantastic. Great that you remember your tries too at Origin.
Well,
so
you
tell me about your favourite Origin try. Which one?
Well, I think it was probably the last game, because first one was... Well, they were both off kicks. So Cooper Cronk kicks across field, it bounces up between, I think it was BMOS and Josh Dugan, just pops up perfectly between them. And then it just was like a gift. They just gave me a gift, and them two were arguing. I could see them arguing afterwards, but I just couldn't care less.
No, mate.
But the last one was, I think we were like 20-0 up.
At Suncorp?
At Suncorp, Lockie's last game, and he puts in a grubber to... I think he was trying to put it out to give everyone a breather, because we were pumping him. Like we were only a try away from really running away with it. And Minicello has just made a meal of it. It's popped off his knee and literally fell at my feet, and I've just kicked it and it's grubbed around him. And fair few people have said, why didn't you leave it for Lockie? Because he was right there. And I was like, well, I didn't really care. He's already getting all the praise. It's his last game anyway. So it bounced like right up in my hands.
The try's there. You're a try scorer. Yeah, you score it.
And you score, and I scored it, and I couldn't believe it.
Do you remember the crowd? The crowd?
Man. That Suncorp Stadium is the best place to play rugby league. Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. You can, people can say, go to Melbourne or whatever. Like that's in Sydney. It's terrible to play Origins down there. Like, they're not loud. They're not close enough to the field. But Queenslanders, mate,
different story.
They're just crazy, and I love that about them.
So you had another great year in 2011 too, Jharal. You played Origin, played for the Broncos, you played for the Kangaroos, and you were named the International Rookie of the Year by the Rugby League Federation
Yeah.
in London.
Yeah, they ruined
That
my name. That was funny. They got my name. They called me Jamal when they called me. I remember this because the boys.
Were you in London? Did you have to go to London to
it was in London. Yeah.
First time you've been overseas?
First time I'd been to Europe. Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been to Europe. I'd been to America. I'd been to America and stuff like that before.
So you flew over for the awards?
No, well, we had a Four Nations tour.
Right. Okay.
It was on the
there.
back of it. So
Right.
I was an emu. I was
I've been an emu all my life, mate. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with being an emu. I was a very hydrated emu by the end of that tour, and it was like a really long one, Kevie. Like it was like I think we got there a week before the first game or a week and a half before the game to acclimatise. Which just pretty much
who's your coach?
Pretty much means drink piss anyway. It was Tim Sheens, Tim Sheens, and it was Lockie's. Like I just got so lucky because that would be my last year of footy. Like when we'll get to that, but it was Lockie's last tour as well. So anything that Lockie said, Lockie got. Like Tim, unfortunately for Sheensy, he didn't have a leg to stand on. Like Lockie was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. We're doing this." Yeah. So. Wow. It was a fun tour.
He had a lot of power, Lockie.
Yeah, he did.
He had everything going for him. So.
And just because I think he knew it was his last hurrah, he was definitely not going back around again. So everything that he wanted to do, and if you know the real, like if you've ever met Daryl, you know
I've met Daryl.
Yeah, you know that he loves to have fun, and I don't think I've met Daryl I don't think Daryl's come back out to play since 2011. So it's probably
seen him,
it's probably a good thing.
It might be about time.
Mate. We just had so much fun on that tour, and we sent him off in a good way.
Righto, mate. Now a couple of quick ones here, and then I'll get into your last sort of games for the Broncos. Your favourite footy memory, all up, you reckon?
Favourite footy memory. It would have to be my favourite year of footy ever was my under-20s year.
Right.
And and obviously
playing with all those boys.
Yeah, they're all my best friends. Like I still talk to pretty much close to 70% of them.
You still talk to Hook a bit?
Yep, and Hook's still one of my good mates.
Yep.
And I think that's why I enjoyed that. Not saying nothing against the players that I've played first grade with, but you've got to understand that there was a huge age gap between a lot of us when we played footy together. So, yeah, I would say that under-20s year was the best footy year of my life by far.
Good, mate.
Yeah.
You obviously, what's your greatest win, you reckon? What's your most favourite one?
Favourite win?
Yeah. Would that be in that 20s team somewhere, or would it be more Queenslander?
Well,
Broncos win, Australia?
Yeah, I'd say there's two. So, to make the grand final in under-20s, we were playing the Warriors, and they were the
guns.
They were out-and-out favourites.
Yeah.
And we had to go and play them to make the GF, and we got written off. We weren't going to win, and I think we were down by a try. We're down by 2 points with 30 seconds to go, and we scored with it would have been 10 seconds to go, and it just erupted.
Wow.
I got goosebumps thinking about it because I've got a picture.
Were you the try scorer?
No, I was not. It was Tommy Butterfield. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, little Tommy Butterfield from Redcliffe.
Yeah, I know Tommy. Yeah.
P&G boy.
Yep.
He I can't remember who got through, but he just backed up and scored it. I've got this picture at home with my 20s jersey, and it's obviously not the one because on the grand final because we lost, but it's that picture of us just jumping all over each other, and that's a pretty cool memory. But my first grade one would have to be Lockie's field goal in his last game at against the Dragons, and he had a fractured face. Yeah, that was
2011.
Because because we got out to a great lead, and we were going to win it, and they came back, and I thought, what have we done to Darren Lockyer? Like, we've ruined his career like this. And then he pulls out a field goal from 45 out.
What a
that
moment.
just went low. And
that got you into the prelim.
And he couldn't even, we were jumping over him, I remember. He couldn't smile because his face was so fractured. So, but, yeah, that was probably
because I was working at the Storm then.
Yeah.
You played Manly the week prelim, and Lockie they flew him down.
They flew him down in a helicopter because he couldn't go up to altitude.
Yeah,
because he only just got an operation. Funny story, actually. While I'm on that, when we lost, we come back home. He had to catch a helicopter home, but we were all pretty well, hydrated
lubricated
at the Caxton, and we got told by Nugget to go outside, and there he was in the helicopter
Above you.
above us. And I don't. Well, he's not. I'm
He
not
wasn't
sure.
flying it, was
I'm
he?
sure it's far enough away, but he wasn't supposed to park where he was supposed to park. And they dropped him off, and he came to the Caxton very quickly. So you could only imagine where there was enough room for him to get off.
Wow. I remember I was in Broncos training camp pre-season one year, and the floods. We were going to get flooded in, and Wally Lewis got a chopper in to get him out with the news. Yeah,
No.
the king. So there's two kings, mate. Choppers.
There you go.
There you go.
And you know what? And Lockie, they made this headgear for him because if we made the grand final, he was going to play.
Right.
But he ran through the Caxton with the headgear on. It was like a guard, and he's just jumping into people and punching people.
No.
That was funny. It was a really, really funny moment.
The things that boys do, eh?
Yeah.
Righto. We're going a bit of a dark place now, mate, with your injury. How you were 3 years into your career.
Yep. 3 years, yeah.
Playing the best, great football. You're playing in finals, played for Queensland, played for Australia, been on tours with Australia. Your life was just humming.
It was enjoyable, yeah.
Playing with your mates, all those kids that you played with in the 20s, still at the Broncos. And then you travel over to Perth, in 2012, round 4, and then you get a compound fracture of your right leg. I remember that moment because I was in Melbourne. I think most people, my family remember. I'm getting a bit. It's
a tough one. You know, it's a tough one because
most people remember that moment where they were, if they were Broncos fans, Jharal.
No, 100%. You know what? It's funny you say that because a lot of people, every time I talk to people about this moment, they say, I don't know why they feel like they can, but they have to. But they say, I remember exactly where I was, and that must have been because it must have touched a lot of people. I don't know in certain ways.
Well,
but
it did, mate. I can guarantee it did.
You know,
if you were a Broncos fan, you saw what happened that night. It was awful, mate. You know?
I think the other thing is, you know, me being a dad now, I could imagine what it would be like if, you know, it happened to your child or your kid or something. Because I'm a dad now, I understand that and the emotion. So, it was a pretty, you know, you said about it.
Tell me how you felt straight away. Did you think it was a serious one, or did you think?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't know, Kevie. Like I didn't know. My thought process was not like anything about. I just didn't know. Like it was a really unknown for me. So because I'd never really had a bad injury either.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mum always said to me, if you're going to do something, do it properly, Jharal. And
well, you did
I probably did it in this sense, but yeah, I couldn't even tell you how I felt in that moment because I was probably more just confused or didn't know where it was going to take me next. Yeah.
Yeah. So where did it take you, mate? What happened?
Yeah, it took me some dark places. There's, you know, I'll always see the lighter side of things now that I am a bit older. Like perspective, I think for me is something that I've been able to grow up and really engage with. And there's times where you know through that stuff I was in a really bad way, like mental state. I was not good.
Yeah.
I think mentally because there's probably a whole lot of reasons why, but one was, man, I've come all this way and I didn't want to give up. That was one thing. Or I didn't want to let my family down. That was another thing. So because we spoke about it at the start of the podcast, they give so much for you to get there, right?
Yeah.
They give so much. So I didn't want to let them down. But at the end of the day, like my body was just like, man, like I still remember Hook saying to me, do you want to keep doing this? And I was like, yeah, I do. Because my mentality was just, I don't have a give up mentality.
Well, just to let people know who maybe there's just some out there that don't. Your injury was described as like a motorbike accident.
Yeah.
So you fractured your ankle and your bone was sticking out.
Yeah.
When you look down and see that, what do you?
Yeah,
how do you feel?
I didn't realize what it. I knew that obviously, but I didn't realize it would compound. But we were wearing some really nice banana socks. I think the outfit was the whole thing was yellow and maroon, but my socks were yellow.
And they wouldn't have been
when I
for
looked
long.
up, they weren't. And I looked up and I remember saying to Hodjo and GI was there trying to console me as well, and Sammy, they were like, don't look. And I was like, but me just being me, I was like, I need to look. And as soon as I looked up, it started to just pour out with red. And I was like, oh gosh. And I almost, you know, when you get those tingly feelings. Yeah, I had heaps of stars, and I was almost fainted. In a funny moment though, I know there's no funny moments in this, but we know that Alf doesn't like blood, right? Yeah. So I've never seen him turn around so fast and go back. I
remember seeing that he just ran straight back to the bench.
He did.
He needed help because he couldn't help you, mate.
No, but I was worried he was going to faint as well. Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, he might go as well.
Yeah.
Because I've heard stories about him hitting his head before that grand final and and
that was at the races.
That was at the races.
The races, the racetrack. Yeah, and Gilly.
So that's funny.
And he saw blood and fainted, but that's a totally different thing. So you had 10 operations on you.
Yeah,
up to 10, trying to.
Well, a lot of them were clean outs because there was a lot of because of the come out of the bone, and it sort of ripped. It's really 6 saying this, but it ripped my my strapping tape underneath, so grass got in a little bit. So they just had to keep cleaning it out, and as they clean it out, right. If anyone's, when you put hand in water and your skin goes really soft, because there's not much skin on your ankle joint, it just started to die because they were cleaning it out so much. They slowly started to die. So they didn't know that at the time that would happen. But it sort of took a real bad turn as well as we made our way back home.
Yeah, there's some speculation, right? Yep. You shouldn't have flown home when you did. You should have been driven home.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that might have.
It was an open wound, so probably in a medical sense, would it have been a good idea for me to be at an altitude that would not help my, recovery? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But in hindsight, the thing was we just wanted to get me home, and I wanted to get home. So when I got asked, do you want to go home? What do you think I'm going to say? Of course I want to get home.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anyone there with me. The only person I had there was Nugget State.
Because it happened in Perth, obviously. Yeah. You're in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Yep. Well, longer. So I ended up doing 9 weeks in the hospital.
By yourself?
Well, sorry, I did a little bit of time went to Perth, and then I came home and did 9 weeks because of the infection reasons. Because of there was an open wound, and I just got really bad cabin fever, I think you could call it, or. I just didn't want to leave the room after a certain amount of time because it was just weird. It was a really weird feeling and sensation of like, I didn't know what it was like to be back out there in the world again. It was
that's right. Because and again, research gives us everything. But you didn't want to go outside. You weren't comfortable in the open air.
No, I was scared. I was scared. I don't know why I was scared, but I'd gotten so used to being in that hospital room that I was worried that if I went outside, something else would happen. So it got to a point where my mind was really messing with me, and it was a hard thing to navigate after that. So I don't know how to explain it, but if you've never been through it, it's really hard to explain. But I just couldn't. When they said you can go outside, I was excited, but then I got to the door and I was like, I can't go.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
And obviously you're in a lot of pain all the time. Continual pain, throbbing.
Yeah, well,
try and describe that to us.
Well, so I was in an X-fix, which means I was in a frame of because they couldn't put my bones back together straight away because I had a hole in my leg. I had to have that elevated for probably the first 3 weeks. And then after that, when they decided to take a skin graft on my thigh and put it on my ankle, that was when it got really difficult because if that skin dies, I could lose my foot. Oh. So there was a lot of scenarios where I was like, every day I was just like, what? It's getting worse. You know what I mean? Like the scenarios were getting worse and worse. So, and here I was just thinking I was coming home to just to fix my leg, and then I'd be on a recovery. So it took a bad turn, and it sort of just kept getting worse and worse. And then when I got out, it was just more of like, all right, go have a break. We'll come back and assess the situation, and we'll see how we can navigate our way to get you back playing footy.
Did you get addicted to painkillers?
Yep. That became pretty full on because I just couldn't do anything without having painkillers. Like every time I put my leg, sit down like this and put it up and then put it down, it would just be in so much pain. So I was just taking them like Tic Tacs, like they were just it also got to a point where I probably could have stopped taking them, but I couldn't stop taking them. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we call that's what an addiction is. So yeah, I was.
And what sort of a time frame of after you injured yourself? Are we talking? Is this
probably
years,
the whole
months?
Probably over a year. Yeah, over a year.
And who were you living with and stuff? Were you?
I was living with my little brother at the time, but he was only really young. He's 6 years younger than me, so he was only. He would have been only 17 or something. So I took him in and he was living at my house. So he probably didn't know what was going on. He was probably just a little bit not sure what was going on. And
well, you wouldn't have known really.
No, and I didn't either. So yeah, it was a very interesting 16 to 18 months. That period, yeah.
And you mentioned about your neighbour. What's the go with you?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So my neighbours where I lived were just really good people, and they don't mind me saying who they are. But Nat and Brad, they've got some young boys they've got young fellas who are now old. I still talk to them, but I was pretty. It was a pretty dark day. I was about this close to probably just ending it, and that was just going to take a shitload of
you got
prescription drugs. Yeah. Yeah, it was just too much, Kevie. Like I felt like I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I just didn't know where to navigate my life and what I was going to do. So I was just, and it's a really weird. It's hard to say that because that's not who you've known.
Not, mate,
it's not me at all.
That's not you at all.
But
mate.
that's what this thing called depression can do to you.
Yeah.
Like it's that's why I'd say to my friends all the time, call me whenever. I don't care. Call me whenever you because it's a real bad disease. Like it's a disease, and if you'd ever met me now, you would just be like, "How is that even?"
I can't contemplate that because
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that person is. So so the fact with that, she called her pastor, from Ashgrove, and he came over and. I'm so glad she picked up the phone because I couldn't call anyone else. Like I was scared to call my family because I didn't want them to be worried about me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it.
Well, credit to you, mate, because what you went through, at such a young age too,
It's wow. It's cool. I actually think hope you don't think I'm sick, but I like reminiscing on this type of stuff because it's good to see where I've come in my life, and I think a lot of people always go, ask me if I'm right. I'm the best version of myself that I've ever been.
Yeah.
And that's because I've got a great wife, 2 little boys.
Yeah, you got 2 boys now.
Yeah, I've got 2 little boys
and a beautiful wife.
So if I also perspective, like I talked about perspective, if I didn't hurt myself, I don't think I would have this family. I don't know where I would be. I'd probably I might be with someone else. So this journey in my life,
that's
brought me
nice
into,
to hear that from you.
Yeah, it's brought me to
like you're so grateful. Just to me, looking at what you have, not what you don't have. You could have had a 12-year career.
But honestly, I don't.
And money. I don't want to sort of knock you, but you missed out on so much financially as well.
Yeah,
with the injury.
But I'm also very privileged that I had good people to guide me with my money as well. Like, there's not a lot of 21-year-olds, Kevie, that are getting paid like me. So I also invested really well. I was smart with my money, and that's because I had good people like the thoroughbreds at the club, who pointed me in the right
So the Broncos
direction.
really looked after you as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in there who I've got to give a lot of credit to making sure I make the right decisions. And Cole Davis was a huge part of that. He made sure that I wasn't stupid and silly. And there was a period where I was, but I was lucky I had the money to be. But I also made sure that I set my life up, and that's why me and my family live on a golf course now. And
living the dream, mate.
We're living the dream. It's awesome.
And so Ashley's your wife?
Yep.
What's your 2?
Yeah, 2 little boys. Jaya is my oldest, and Koa is my youngest. So 4 and 1.5. And my wife's from actually from Canada. So it's a real nice way to be able to share our cultures and
because you go back there, don't you?
Yeah, we go back a little bit. And my youngest hasn't been back yet because he's only 1.5. But we are going back next year for the Soccer World Cup. in Canada. So really looking forward to that.
Now you've been through the lot as a player, injury wise. How important is resilience, and like, how did you get through it all? You reckon? Was there a couple of things that you thought? Was it people around you? Was it just you yourself, just being a tough bastard and just getting through it somehow?
There's no way it's me. Like you got to understand, it's the people you put yourself around, like your family, your friends, the right people. I say to all these young kids that play footy now, you can be the best person, but you're always going to slip up at one stage. There's always going to be something. So you have to make sure you have the right people around you to guide you and help you out of that. So, I give full, without sounding cliche, I give full credit to the boys. I give full credit to my family and my friends who have always made me grounded, kept me grounded. They've always made me remember where I come from, because that's who I am. So I never forget that. And there's obviously things that I've picked up along the way, Kevie, of my personality now, but I definitely wouldn't have those if it wasn't for, my mum, mate, giving me all those attributes when I was growing up as well.
It's so refreshing and wonderful to hear, Jharal, that you've got through what you have and you are the person you are now. You've got a great life now. You've got two beautiful kids, lovely wife. You're coaching rugby league, you fool. What are you doing coaching rugby league?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Like, I coached the side.
Tell us about the team you're coaching.
Yeah, so I coached the side last year to a grand final. Another grand final. I lost another one. I'm actually, what I'm doing now is I'm consulting and helping coaching Corbin Sims, who's the head coach.
He's coaching out there.
He's the head coach of the side. But your boy plays for
Jack
us.
does, yeah. You've got a great old crew out there.
Mate, yeah, awesome.
And you're also back at the Bronx working in there?
Yeah, I work in game development, which is growing the game of rugby league, teaching young kids the right way, and coaching coaches how to coach at a younger age. It's all about fun. I think, and we're trying to grow people, give people good brands and have great personalities and make sure they're good people. Yeah. Footy is one thing, but if you're not a good person, you can't do anything in your life. So that's our main focus.
No, when I'm not at the Broncos anymore, obviously, but I'm so happy and proud that you are actually back working there, because to me, you represent a true Broncos person. Like, just your character. Yeah. And I think it's great that you're back there, and I want to congratulate you and everything that you've done in your career to get back there, because it hasn't been easy for you, mate. No.
And mate, honestly, I don't think I say it enough on the record, but I love the club. Like, I love this club. Yeah. I don't have there's been times where I've thought they've done me wrong, but that's just because I was young and silly. But this club is a powerhouse of a place, and the people that are inside it is what makes it. Yeah, it's not the nice big sponsors. Obviously they're great. It's not the lights or anything like that. The people inside the club are what make the Broncos, and you know that, mate, because you've been around. You've done it all. So I don't have a bad word to say about this place. And I can't wait to watch them go on and play some more footy. Yeah,
no worries, mate. Well, Jharal Yow Yeh, pleasure having you on, mate.
Kevie, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much.
You're a champion fella. I wasn't at the Broncos when you started, but I thought one day, I'd love to meet this fella. Yep. Because I like him. Thanks, and I still love you now, mate.
And Inside Ball, get and subscribe.
That's it, mate. Good man.
Like and subscribe.
We'll get him back, this fella. There he is, Jharal Yow Yeh. What a player. What a man. What a family man.